Ajahn, are you here?
In
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์ค่ะ
Sawadika, Ajahn.
สวัสดีค่ะ
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you fine, very clearly.
สวัสดีค่ะ everyone.
สวัสดีค่ะ
Very glad, yes, very glad to hear the trip to India went well, and I'm sure the discussions were very useful for everyone. So we're very glad to hear that the trip went well, and very glad to hear that you stayed healthy.
Yes, no COVID.
No COVID results. And also for Kun Sujit, so very fortunate. Very glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, we can start. I'm sure Nina has some topics she's been patiently waiting to bring up. So please go ahead, Nina.
Yes, okay. I was watching the video in India of Ajahn, and then so I saw the procession, and then when I watched, I had very glad feelings, but I realized that it's mostly akusala, because we think it's so wholesome because it's in India. But while we are watching, really, it is mostly attachment. And it was so useful that at the same time this picture was shown, there was about seeing, the text, Ajahn's text about knowing seeing, and not forget about the reality of seeing. And that is always good, but we are inclined to just repeat seeing and what seeing is, and then it impinges on the eye sense. But and then there is the artificial intelligence. About 30 seconds you can realize the Dhamma, but that's not the word of the Buddha, because the Buddha said the Dhamma is difficult to realize and is subtle, very subtle. It's not possible to realize it quickly. But we may think we ourselves, when we hear about seeing, that we understand already. But in fact, we can repeat words, but it's not a question of words, but realized directly the characteristic. And that is, of course, very difficult. So we are always very happy to hear more from Ajahn herself about seeing.
There is saying, and each word of the Buddha just point to the seeing in order to understand the truth of seeing. But even we are now hearing about seeing, it's not yet the moment of realizing the truth of that which has no shape and form, and that the object which is seen does not appear, because if that which is seen appear, there cannot be the understanding of other thing except that which is seen. That's why what is there now from moment to moment, so very rapidly, Buddha just pointed to the truth of each moment. What is there now? There is seeing for sure, but the seeing, the reality which just arises to experience, not the object now appears, but the characteristic which experiences is there. Very hidden, it's hidden from moment to moment, no thought about it at all. That's why now begin to have moment of considering that which experience, how to know it when the object which is seen is now appearing from moment to moment. So how can there be the understanding of that which when it appears, there cannot be anything at all, because no shape, no form, no smell at all. It's there. It's there, the reality which experiences, while the object does not appear. So in order to understand that, it takes quite a long time, no matter how long it is, from moment of hearing to moment of directly aware of that, until doubt is less and less, but so very, very little. That's why right understanding understands the truth of that which is always there in a day, experiences from birth up to the moment now and further on. So the moment to understand it is just understanding that it is the reality now sees. And it depends on understanding. It cannot be moment of realizing the reality which experiences the object right now. But it's there, it's there, it's there. Hearing again and again and again. No expectation how much is there developed, but it develops sure from moment to moment. So very little, so very secretly, who knows, until the moment of understanding of different degrees at different level appears, but doubt is still there all the time, no matter what stage of understanding, even vipassana jnana and so on. It's not yet absolutely eradicated yet, because it is there again sometime at moment when the object is not known clearer and clearer and clearer, little by little. That's all. That's why understanding that only right understanding can realize the truth. Understanding the meaning of the word about the reality which now experiences each moment. But it depends on conditions. What will be object of understanding or considering by conditions more and more difficult to let go the idea of self, because right understanding has to penetrate no matter how very slight it is of each reality, because when it's there, it's not so strong as it appears clearly as rose and garden and people and things. It's not that at all. That is the nimitta of our objects from moment to moment. Condition the shape and form to be known, to be remembered, to take it for something from moment of birth on and on and on. That's why just understanding itself, whether it is a little clearer and have firm confidence, a little more confidence of what I just thought about the truth of what is there right now, naturally, normally, because all depends on conditions. It's there already. Just understand it, that's all. No matter how long, no matter how much, no matter how little, it doesn't matter as long as it's there to be known until it's known. Until it's known. See, no one at all. Patient, be patient to understand what is there now, little by little. No idea about how or when at all it will appear as it is, or it is realized by those who develop understanding of each reality by conditions. See, by conditions, that's the way it is. Because right now, what is there? The reality which experiences the object with many cetasikas unknown, until only one is known as it is, see. And then they can be thinking about it, followed instantly, not that which is gone. And this is so true that it can let go the idea of when or how or why. Just understand that now we're talking about the truth of what is there, which hasn't been known yet as it is, but we learn about the truth of it to have firm confidence of it. And that moment of understanding is moment of letting go. The very strong clinging, very firm ignorance and wrong idea, wrong understanding, taking that for it's permanent, it's still I now hearing, I'm now thinking, I'm now I all the time. That's the way it is. And that is the subtle understanding the truth to be samadhi of the Eightfold Path, the first one. So it can condition other higher, little more, a little more, understanding secretly how it works, unknown, just like touching. And when will it be wear away? Because just one touch is not enough at all. And that which has to be worn away is so very thick, very sticky, more than just the universe, several universes too, not just only 100 and 1,000. See, that's why it seems like no one can do anything, and that's the right understanding beginning to develop so firm that is so natural when awareness is there by conditions, beginning to understand that which can be known about its truth. So little by little, it seems like we're touching the knife handle and so on. How long will it be worn away? No one knows. But it's there now, hearing again and again and again, to condition moment of thinking about it, about what is heard and what is there and what is moment of that which is there appear as that which experience or that which cannot experience. And this is daily life. So daily now everything is there. So it's not just understanding the meaning of the word, but the truth of the word of reality. Just like now, the same again and again and again, but a little more understanding, patiently developing by conditions.
Ajahn, so when we hear you, it is very useful to know the difference between artificial intelligence, which has 30 seconds only, because you stress that it can become clearer and clearer, and about the nimitta and letting go, because it's I all the time, and that no one can do anything, and that it's by conditions. This is really difficult, very useful, because now we know better that what the artificial intelligence is not the path, is not the right path, but to know the difference.
And that is another level of understanding, see. Otherwise, it cannot be just right what you said. Little by little, it let go. Nothing to be done. Just thinking about it, consider it, hearing the truth of it, and then it develops on and on. And the truth is there in everyday life, whether it's a moment of thinking about it or a moment of reading about it carefully of each word, because just one word, Dhamma, there can be understanding up to be arahata. See, understanding Dhamma, whatever is there as it is. That's why learn about each word. Learn to understand the truth more of what? Of that which is now appearing. So true. See, only this. It's different from other words in life we are talking about, friends and situation and this and that. But only this word can be very precious to understand the truth, nothing to be done. And this is firm understanding, firm confidence of anatta. What is that is seen, but before that which experience, that which is seen, can show up. It's not by anyone's expectation. How much understanding, how much reading, how much discussing and so on, but it's there by condition unknown, so unknown that it's working, or cetasika develops on and on and on. Gradually, what about the thousand kappa? It doesn't matter because it's so true. It's now as it is, but it does not show up. It will show up only to right understanding at the proper level, which can understand different stages of the truth. Thinking, we now have understanding intellectually that there's no I, but it's not the idea that I am all the time, but it's there lurking, now sitting, no understanding of that which appears. So it's I. And even sitting is not known if we don't talk about it. Why do we think about sitting in a day? No, at all, not at all. We think about other things, which is seen and heard and thought about. But when one say, I'm sitting, I'm sitting, it's not natural at all because it's not daily life. But daily life is there, seen, heard, touched, thought about, and so on. But hearing again and again and again at that moment to understand that at moment of getting irritated at that moment is so real. It depends on understanding whether it's not that which is seen or that which is heard. Just one slip moment of understanding can be by conditions. And without understanding right now the depth or the subtlety of reality, how can it be that moment understanding the truth of that which does not appear as nimitta of one reality, but now nimitta of everything together as something. See? That's why the understanding of these words only are now developing secretly. Who knows? So natural as we are talking, it's there developing all the time, little by little. When there is the understanding, see? So only understanding can understand the truth of what is there stage by stage. Now they are all together. How can there be the direct understanding of just one if there's no hearing about different reality which is there, that is not the same? The citta is not intention, it's not concentration at all. It is a reality. This is now the development by conditions to understand one by one until there can be moment of direct understanding of only one by conditions, see, and gone so very quickly. It's there and then gone. But the moment when it's there, it's known that it's there, depending on how much understanding is there firm enough or not firm enough yet. But it's not moment of thinking about other things. That's why the blessings of hearing the truth, listening to the truth, discussing on the truth, to have more understanding, not to think about what is thought about usually in a day, from day to day. So natural. All are dhammas, conditioned dhamma, Intl.Dhamma. It seems like very little understanding, better than none, and that which is so little, more and more, is bigger and bigger by conditions. But right understanding is so different stage by stage, unknowingly, until it's there. Understanding that it's only that stage or that step. So truly, that's why it cannot go wrong when there's right understanding, which is so very subtle. To really understand the truth of actually what are there in the day. Everything, something, he or she, or this or that. Only a moment of experiencing through one doorway, one at a time. So understanding how much ignorance in a day, that is true. So it is the way to understand whatever is there by conditions right now. All conditions are now developing to condition a little more understanding and knowing what object is there to be known. It can be right now. See, that's the proof of anatta or dhammas are anatta. Or it will take more than a kappa. It doesn't matter because it's there to be known little by little by conditions. Patience, see, parami. Satya parami. Nekama parami. Not wanting whatever right understanding will arise so soon. All depends how much understanding, how little understanding. When we think that it's much or more enough, not never enough at all. And that's the virtues of the Buddha, how great it is to understand the truth much more than he taught us about this moment. But it's so true. It's seen, it's heard, it's gone.
Jay,
It's not there.
Jay, can you throw the tissues?
So when we talk about the truth of any reality, it will be conditions to understand it a little more of the truth of no one there at all. The breaking world is moment of conditioned realities arise and fall away all the time. The fire on the head or the fire in the forest, no one there at all. So why have it then on and on and on non-stop? So now it's that which is seen, depending on conditions. At moment of wanting just a little bit, it hinders instantly. So it works its way, see, but the eye is there secretly all the time. It's the war between ignorance and I right understanding. Clinging or letting go depends on conditions, just like a fight or the war between ignorance and right understanding. In truth, from life to life, what is more? Who wins? Akusala. That's why it's long war, long fight. By conditions, not I or anyone at all. The moment is there. Forgive or revenge or anger or metta, understanding. Gradually develop in daily life. When panya is there, it changes from akusala to be kusala. Seeing the danger of akusala, understanding the benefit of kusala. Throw away the rubbish.
And like you said, Nina, no matter whether now we're watching a video or of India or listening to a recording or listening to the Zoom or watching TV, different moments of kusala and akusala, the sense door processes in between, moments of seeing and hearing in between. And we know we may assume it's kusala because it's a Dhamma discussion or one's in the holy place. But this is just wishful thinking because the clinging, the ignorance is far more common than the kusala citas. So better to be truthful and accept as it is. And it's also the same whether one is listening like now to Ajahn speaking or whether one is reading something by artificial intelligence or reading a good or a bad translation in the text. What's important is the understanding of what appears now. Otherwise, we're fixated on the citta of the other, or whether it's artificial or whether it's a good or a bad translation, and forget all about the seeing now. The citta at this moment, is there wise consideration or just clinging and dwelling on the story about the other's cittas or the artificial intelligence? It doesn't matter at all, because each moment of seeing is conditioned. Each moment of thinking of attachment is conditioned. And we think that the kusala is just conditioned by the other's kusala cittas, but no, it's conditioned by the accumulation, one's own accumulation of kusala, one's own wise considering, just as the attachment and ignorance is not caused by the artificial intelligence or the bad translation, but by one's own accumulation of ignorance and attachment. Otherwise, we think it matters so much what the citta is of the other, and we speculate. But this is just one's own clinging and ignorance, not understanding what appears now at all. And even if what is said is not right, or even if the artificial intelligence makes some errors, what about the thinking now? What about the wise consideration even at this very moment? Because they're just different conditioned dhammas, different moments of seeing, different sounds that are heard, different visible objects that are seen. So no matter the circumstances, what is important is the understanding at this very moment. There was one point I heard on a recording in India. There was someone asked about seeing, and Ajahn was talking about seeing. And I think it was Alberto, I think you mentioned something about the different conditions for seeing and this and that. And Ajahn just came back and said, at the moment of understanding, seeing now, no thought about what condition is there and how it's conditioned to arise. No thought about who is speaking or anything else. It's just seeing, just the moment of experiencing what is visible at this moment, not I seeing, not anyone seeing, just the reality which arises and sees what is visible. this is what has to be known, not the long story about it. So many good points. Thanks, Nina. Anything else you'd like to comment on?
That's a good reminder, because when we talk about artificial intelligence, we may think of the others akusala instead of being aware now and no seeing now and forget about that.
Usually we're very used to dwelling on the others and the different situation and minding whether the other is speaking of kusala chitta or clinging when one thinks it is with kusala chittas, but forgetting all about seeing now, thinking now, hearing now, what is heard at this moment.
Yes.
And whether one likes or doesn't like the artificial intelligence, it doesn't matter, because just even the moment of seeing is conditioned, liking is conditioned, disliking is conditioned. So understanding the reality appearing now, the pleasant feeling, the unpleasant feeling, the like, the dislike is far more important than trying to work out whether the artificial intelligence statement is correct or not.
Yeah.
Always back to this moment.
If they get fixed on artificial intelligence, why it is wrong, but then forget about the present moment.
Yeah,
That's
we
a good
waste time.
reminder.
We
Yeah.
waste time thinking about this and that
Yeah,
situation
that's
and
right,
the
yeah.
others cheaters or lack of cheaters, and just forget about this very moment.
May I? May I?
Go ahead, Sao, are you speaking?
Yes. I grant if Ajahn explain more about the reality related to the moment. I choose someone as my inspiration on the path of studying and learning Dhamma. For example, I always feel encouraged and motivated when I look at Kunina, live and learn, for example. So my question is, I want Ajahn explain more about the reality related to the moment I choose someone as my inspiration. Do you understand what I try to say?
Yes. Could you follow it, Ajahn?
And help me to
Yes.
translate to Ajahn. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So Sao is saying that for him, it's a big inspiration when he listens to Nina and she asks her questions, and he would like Ajahn to mention what the reality is at the moment when he chooses someone to be his inspiration. When he, for example, chooses Nina to be his inspiration, he would like to know what the reality is at that moment.
100%.
Now or when? See,
Now.
now. What is that? See, we begin to understand what is that.
I think
Ariel.
begin as thinking, and then there are many emotion.
So it's
So
a
the
reality.
reality is the thinking, Ajahn.
So it's a reality which experiences an object. See, it's time to talk about all kinds of realities just to understand it a little more in order that it will develop to condition a moment of beginning to directly aware of the characteristic of that which is there now, one at a time. So right now, what is there? We cannot choose to be aware of this or that, or to understand this or that.
Flink gebrand aan de koeker. Zie je het niet?
Shanti, can you mute? Shanti, please mute.
It seems like there's no idea or no understanding of whatever is there at all, because there are so many things. And how can there be moment of thinking about the truth of just one reality? Because they are all mixed up. That's why we can talk about just one reality at a time to understand little by little of whatever is there from moment to moment in life as conditions unexpectedly to realize the truth at the moment when it's proper time for that to arise. That's why we are now talking about the truth of whatever is there, accumulated little by little from moment to moment to condition the unexpected understanding with direct awareness or not directly yet. It doesn't matter. That's why we now talk about what is there, one reality at a time to understand it. When you talk about what something, understanding the truth, what is that? From the very beginning to understand a little more until it's different from others. So now, which one we'll talk about a little more to realize the truth that it's different from others.
So, Ajahn, when we just talk about one reality at a time, for example, they are seeing now, but in the screen, I see Ajahn and everybody. And I remember Ajahn said, when we recognize thing and someone, so then the idea of me. So now I wonder if Ajahn said just one, the idea of I and me, why is very important, because we always say see something or someone, see something or someone, so that always have me or I here. And how can we think about reality without me and I? Ajahn, please.
It's not possible to understand just one single reality because it's there so very quickly and then gone. Each one is the same, no matter what. That's why it seems like everything goes on as something together all the time, not just only one. That's why we learn to understand that no matter what is there in this world or other world, this moment or other moment, there are only the reality which can experience the object and the reality which cannot experience the object. But now we can see that right now, without that which arises and experience the object, there cannot be anything seen or heard or touched at all. Beginning to concentrate, or not just concentrate by ourselves, but to have attention to only one reality, that which now experiences each moment, no matter what the object is. This is the beginning to not forget about that reality, which is the chief of each moment, because without it, nothing can appear at all. Begin to understand the truth of no one, because we are talking about the reality which arises and experience, not that which is experienced. But without that which arises and experiences, nothing can be known or appear at all. That's why we learn to attend to the characteristic at moment of listening, considering the truth of this moment, or it can condition moment of thinking about it later, but we don't know when, depending on conditions. If one not forget by hearing again and again, and the accumulation in the past to have condition to not forget it, it will not be forgotten. But now it doesn't matter at all. No one can erase, no one can do anything. Just understand the way life is, understand the way reality is. It's sila, the behavior of such and such reality appearing, but it's not known because no enlightenment of the Buddha yet. But after his enlightenment, there can be moment of hearing about the truth, about any moment. There must be a reality which experiences the object. This is the moment to learn as the base to understand the world, no matter what world or no matter when and where at all. That's why there must be a reality which now arises and experience what appears, no matter that which is seen or heard or touched or smelled. This is life, beginning to understand. Without that which arises to experience an object, there's no life at all. No going, no doing, no seeing, no thinking at all. That's why it's there. But it's so very difficult to understand it, because usually what we think we understand is that which is seen, or that which is heard, or that which is touched through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body, and thinking. See, that's why thinking is not that which is thought, or that which is object of thinking, or that which is object of seeing, or that which is the object of hearing, and so on. Different realities. No expectation that how much I understand it, how much it will appear stage by stage, but the understanding develops gradually, and it makes its way little by little, not wrong, not other way, not artificial, but it's so true that nobody can change any characteristic of a reality at all. The chief of experience is there, because at that moment of seeing, there is also remembering, marking the object. No one, but it's there, a reality which is not the chief of experiencing the object. It share, it experience the same object by its way, marking, see, remembering. And it's there, even right now, different reality which arises to experience as a chief, but that one just arises to mark and remember what is the object, see. Different reality is unknown, but we learn to understand life, what is there in life, the reality which experience the object, and the reality which cannot experience the object. So we can talk about seeing, liking, disliking, see, that experience the objects by its own way, different ones. This is a way to let go even intellectually as foundation for more and more firm confidence and understanding of just one reality at a time. It works its way. No one can do anything So no, don't, we can say do not try, but it's right understanding which do not try. It does not try because it understands that only hearing and considering intellectual understanding, which is so firm enough when time comes to understand directly of what is there now, appearing, hardness at moment of touching right now, or that which is seen, visible object as not anything, as something, and that which seeing, hearing, smelling, a reality which experience the object as a chief, while the other just arise together and perform its function, not other function at all. Never change its characteristic, arising to form its own function, remembering, concentrating, and so on. All in life, no one there at all. Little by little, it develops on and on. Instead of ignorance, attachment, and aversion, and on, which are unwholesome. That's why we learn to understand that no one, it's all the work of realities which experience the object, while the other reality, the rupa, cannot experience anything at all. See, little by little, life changes from no understanding of what is there in life, ugly words, or very bad person, and so on, unpleasant word, and so on, as all are dhammas. It's real, and each is different. But when they are together taken as someone, it conditions misunderstanding, wrong understanding, someone and something. See, just learn little by little. Nothing to be done because all are done by each different realities. The chief is the Dhamma, which is Chitta. We use that term to distinguish the different ones from Chitta to Cetasikas. And we don't have to name or call it, but it's there to be known. But without the word taught by the Buddha, no one can understand what is there meant. When we talk about seeing, it's moment of experiencing that which is seen right now. And when we talk about hearing, it's that which hear the sound, and so on. And thinking about the sound, the word, and so on. All are there realities, no one there at all. Just have confidence on this. A little more from life to life, uncountable eons and eons, until it's there. See? Stage by stage, be known as it is. Understanding the difference between moment of no satipatthana and moment of satipatthana. But if there's no understanding of what is sati and what is citta and what is what and what is what, how can it be known as its different moment? Moment without awareness, without understanding, or moment with sati or awareness, but without understanding. See, all in life shows up at moment of understanding the words of truth about each different one. This is the way, the subtle way, the middle path to understand the truth patiently. But it brings joy. It conditions joy. It can be known because it's there now, but it depends on time and understanding, developing from moment to moment. And a moment is very short, but ignorance has been accumulated, uncomparable to a moment of just understanding. To let go wrong understanding, wrong or ignorance, attachment, and all kinds of akusala. And daily life is just like what is known as is tested. How much understanding of life, how much patience with understanding, with that kind of Dhamma, not anyone at all. Just learn to understand, and reality develops in its own way. Hearing, considering, understanding, little by little, joyfully. No attachment, no wish to realize at any time or so soon. So one can understand a little more about the moment of attachment or lobha. Even just thinking about it, what is there? And that which has to be wear away, to be worn away, little by little. At moment of understanding, at moment of wishing, thinking, hoping, or alobha, which has to be eradicated, stage by stage.
And coming back to your comments, Zhao, like when you mention, I choose someone to be my inspiration. But as you know, no I to choose anything or anyone, just different moments of thinking which are conditioned, moments of thinking about what is seen, moments of thinking about what is heard, moments of thinking about the story of Nina, moments of thinking about the story of Sujin, the story of India, endlessly. But it's not I choosing to think this way or that way. It depends on sanya and the accumulated tendency, what there will be thinking about. And when thinking about someone as one's inspiration, kusala or akusala, in truth, different moments, moments of clinging, moments of lobha, as Jan was talking about, moments of perhaps appreciation of the kusala of others. But each reality arises and falls away so fast. The main thing is no I that can choose anything. And when you mention about the many emotions, well, what are the emotions? Actually, they're just different moments of thinking with lobha, with ignorance, some moments of thinking with wise consideration, pleasant feeling, mostly with attachment, unpleasant feeling, always with dosa. So this is what we call my emotions and my motivation. So that's why we have to just always come back to talk about dhammas. And at the end, when you said, how can we think about reality without me or I? This comes back to what Ajahn was saying at the start of the discussion. When understanding develops, it gradually lets go of the idea of when or how or why. Like, how can I understand reality? How can I let go of I? At those moments, it's I who would like to get rid of the idea of I. It's not the understanding of Dhamma. So it's only by the gradual development of understanding of what appears now naturally that there is less and less clinging to what I can know or how I can understand, not by any trying or I doing anything. So this is why there has to be the listening and considering and wise reflection again and again, but not I that can consider wisely or I that can reflect wisely, and not I that should have this or that for my inspiration. So just let understanding work its way naturally to let go of the idea of what can I do or who should be my inspiration, because these are all the moments of wrong considering, I trying to do something.
Right. And I think, John, Mr. Zhao, when we talk about someone being inspiring us, we are appreciating some quality they have, whether it's a conventional quality of being intelligent or being kind, being diligent, or we are talking about the way they explain the Dhamma, for example. But when we think about it, the most inspiring thing is really the words of the Buddha, or to put it another way, the meaning that those words convey. And I think if we want to think about taking inspiration, we should think of taking inspiration from the words of the Buddha or his teaching rather than an individual, because there are bound to be lots of mixed qualities there also. And on the point about whenever there's thinking, it's always me and I. I think, as Sarah mentioned, it's bound to be like that because that's our accumulated tendency. And just as we don't try to have less of other kinds of akusala, we know it's not the path. The path is not having less akusala of one kind or another. The same applies to thoughts of me or I. The development of the path is not about trying to change our way of thinking, but to understand the realities of the present moment. And every time there's a thought of I or me, it's what a reality of one kind or another. But we don't have to pay attention to those particular thoughts as though they need some special treatment. It's just a matter of whatever can be understood is understood. So we don't worry too much about the thinking of I or me. That thinking can be, of course, with or without wrong view, or with or without attachment, with or without conceit. It could be any kind of mental factor involved in that, but we don't have to try and work it out either. Thanks.
Thank you, John. I think it's related to the someone who said Dhamma, as you just said. So, because when I heard from Ajahn, we hearing, considering reality at this moment, and not just understand on the words, but we considering think how is to become our own understanding. So it made me think about the virtuous friends who can share the right understanding, right Dhamma. So if they share wrong Dhamma, so how can I think? That's why I think about the virtuous friends who share the right understanding, and on the way, I still confused when I think about you, Srisara, Achal, Punina, with the very you are very bad friend with the high age, and with the great compassion to share them to us. So it's motivate me to when I lazy, when I feel. So I think about you as a hero. So my English is not so good, so I try to say something at me. But your you Kunsara express Ajahn help me. I would like to say this made me feel better. Thank you.
Yes, I think it's obviously one does appreciate the understanding of other persons because one appreciates the benefit of understanding the Dhamma. So therefore, one appreciates sharing the Dhamma, and it's a two-way street. So the other thing, so that's fine to appreciate the opportunity. But don't forget also that the conditions for that opportunity to arise are one's own previous karma. So one has accumulated karma in the past that bring the result of that opportunity, that association, and the conditions for appreciating the occasion when it occurs. That's all just different dhammas at that moment. So as Sarah said, one should not get too carried away with that.
And usually we think a lot about the other's understanding and my understanding and their virtues and my virtue. But the teachings are really for the letting go of the idea of self. So in truth, panya is just panya, a mental factor that arises and falls away and doesn't belong to anyone. Kindness, compassion, meanness, they're just dhammas which arise and fall away by conditions. So the greatest way to show respect or appreciation of the Buddha's teachings is the understanding here and now of Dhamma, what is reality, not my ignorance or attachment compared to the others' understanding, but just understand what life is at this very moment. This is the only way to get closer to really appreciating the Buddha's teaching and the virtues of the Buddha, which in truth don't belong to the Buddha or anyone. This is just our conventional way of speaking. So whatever we're talking about, no matter whether it's seeing or hearing, compassion or anger, they are just different dhammas to be understood here and now when they arise. And this is a way to gradually let go of the clinging to self and the clinging to other people, just to understand Dhamma now.
And I just want to say, like, when we talk about inspire or inspiration, I think that the true inspiration is the Buddha himself. And when we have the right understanding, at that time, Panya appreciate and see the truth and see the Buddha, see the Dhamma, see the Sangha, the Ratana. And when Panya, so the real inspiration is when Panya understand the truth and is inspired, and the most inspired person is Buddha.
As he said, he who sees the Dhamma sees me. So it's only by appreciating and understanding that those virtues can be known. Sometimes people talk about Ajahn's teachings, but actually it is the Buddha's teachings, what we're talking about, the seeing, the hearing. It doesn't belong to anyone, but it is the truth about life now as revealed by the Buddha's great wisdom, which our good friends help to share. But I appreciate your points, Tsao. These are good. It's a good topic to bring up.
Thank you.
And I see you're with us in the middle of the night. Anything you would like to bring up? In case you suddenly fade away. We can't hear you. We're not hearing you, Anne. Yes.
Are you okay now? Can you hear? Good. No, I don't actually have anything to bring up right now. Except to say it's really good to be hearing this group live again. It was wonderful to hear the discussions from India as well.
Good to see you, Anne, and other people who are here today, like Carmen and Alan. Alan, anything you would like to bring up today?
Yeah, why are the three factors right speech, right action, right livelihood, why are they factors of the Eightfold Path? Because as I understand it, they're abstentions, and in actual fact they're quite rare in a day that you abstain from killing or abstain from lying, and as we already understand that the path is about understanding any reality, no matter wholesome or unwholesome. So I just wonder why those factors are factors of the Eightfold Path. They're pulled out of all the different factors as kind of key elements in the development of the path. So I don't know whether you could shed light on it. You have explained it probably a long time ago, but I just wondered if you could clarify why they're factors of the Eightfold Path.
Sarah, we cannot hear you.
Perhaps Jan or Jonathan would like to add comments on this.
My only comment, Alan, is that there's, as far as I'm aware, nothing in the teachings that explains why certain factors are Noble Eightfold Path factors and the rest aren't. So not for me to second guess what the answer is.
I mean, I won't give an answer, but I'd like to say that I like your question and I want to hear the answer.
Hanajan, yeah,
Well, why would you like to know the answer?
Because, yeah, I think where Alan is coming from is that we can understand the function of right understanding, the right mindfulness, right concentration. But when it comes to these, right livelihood, and why is it so important? That I don't understand.
One comment I'd make, like when Alan said it's so rare, but what about right speech? So many opportunities in a day to say something with akusala citas, to speak a little briskly or just not with consideration or carefully. So with understanding more and more conditions to abstain from those moments of speaking unhelpfully or unwisely with akusala citas. So I think these path factors develop with understanding. So it's not just abstaining from killing, but when there is the opportunity to do something which isn't right, or to say something, a little bit of gossip, a little bit of teasing, a little exaggeration. So with right understanding, there can be those moments of abstaining. But perhaps Ajahn would like to add more.
Have you heard about the 5 factors, not 8? Usually,
Yes. Yeah.
5 factors, when we don't talk about moment of the one of the sila of the 3. So it can be 5 or 6 because the 3 cannot arise together. But at moment of enlightenment, they are all there. See? But that's why it's the way it is in life, because there must be deeds and speech and mind. Thinking about killing or stealing and so on, or abstain from those deeds. That's why usually when there's no moment of sila to arise at that moment, there are only 5 factors. The 5, what you say, 5-fold factors.
5-fold path at those moments only.
Yeah.
Just the 5 path factors, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
it's right to say that if when there is abstaining from, say, killing, that isn't the 8-fold path unless there is the understanding that it is not self that abstains. So even because the ordinary person can abstain from killing or lying or bad speech, but there has to be the right understanding at that moment that abstention doesn't belong to anybody to be the 8-fold path. That would be correct. Yeah. Yes.
I am, I mean, from what I gather from what Sarah just said, I'm thinking that the 5 factors, we know how important that is. But when it comes to a moment of, say, refraining from lying, and with the 5 factors, it seems to be stronger. So maybe that's what needs to happen too, in order that the 8-fold path at enlightenment at Magga and Phala rise. So I think maybe that's one reason.
That's why it's only that developed understanding at those moments that can completely eradicate the wrong speech and action that of breaking the precepts at that degree. That so it's only the gradual development of understanding that eradicates all kinds of wrong speech and wrong action step by step. No other way at all. And I don't think, Alan, we have to think whether the right understanding is at that very moment of abstaining, or whether the abstaining is conditioned by the right understanding, because the chittas follow so quickly, so rapidly. I once asked about that topic too, so we can overthink it, but we know the 3 virity factors are path factors, but one at a time, just when there are conditions. Otherwise, just 5 factors, as Jan was stressing.
And and after an enlightenment becoming Sotapanna, there is no these 3 abstaining, because Sotapanna do not have an intention to do wrong speech or wrong deeds. So,
but still, for the Sotapanna, Haji, still conditions to joke or gossip for akusala speech, but not the degree of telling lies, but still akusala speech, akusala deeds. Only for the Arahat, no more virity cetasikas can arise.
okay, thank you.
but different degrees, at different stages.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think it comes back a little bit to Jan's point earlier about sometimes we are, why this, why that, because we know that there are many other Sopana Chaitasikas arising with those moments of right understanding, not just the path factors. And so we can ask why this, why that, but we kind of waste time thinking about why the Virati Chaitasikas, why not the moments of metta or moments of the Hiri, the Otapa, and so on and so on. But it distracts from just understanding what appears now.
I think that what gave rise to the question was the fact that I saw a question about how one can incorporate the Eightfold Path into meditation practice, and it occurred to me that actually the Eightfold Path is the path. There isn't anything else that it contains, if you like, insight that it's not separate. It's not sort of the Eightfold Path and then there's something else over that you do as well, and then something else. That the Eightfold Path contains the path, if you like, completely.
And the main point, like I was stressing with Zhao, is that no I that can do anything, no I that can follow it, no I that can incorporate it, no I that can make it part of daily life, because we're talking about the development of the direct understanding of realities. No one can make this happen. No one can think about reality without I. No one can directly understand seeing, not Ajahn's virtues or anyone else's.
If we're pinpointing the condition for that understanding, can we say, as has already been mentioned, that it is understanding intellectually about the truth of reality? Now, that is the condition for, if you like, turning by conditions or attention by conditions to the reality without thinking, but the direct experience. So Pariyatti, we can understand many different things about the Buddhism, where he was born, where he lived, etc., etc. But the path is just this understanding of the truth about reality now. And part of that truth is that it's not any personal or anything or anyone at all. It arises by conditions, so no one can do anything. But that intellectual understanding is accumulating to be the condition. Would that be correct to say?
Yes, and with it develops more and more confidence, less, like Ajahn said at the beginning, there's bound to be doubt even at moments, in between moments of Vipassana Jnana. It hasn't been completely eradicated. There's bound to be doubt, but the confidence develops firmer and firmer. So there's no idea that one has to be in India or one has to listen to these words or read that book, because there's confidence that the truth is here and now at this very moment, no matter one has COVID or not, or is in India or not, or seeing is seeing at this very moment. Hearing is hearing. So nowhere else to go, nothing to do. Life is at this moment. So it's not following someone else's example or behaving as someone else does, but just understanding the truth at this moment that doesn't belong to anyone at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, as Ajahn mentioned earlier, it's a joy, it's joyful, because at the moments of understanding, there's a little letting go of the idea of I, or someone there, or my virtue, or my lack of understanding. It's just the reality that appears at this moment to be known. And what's gone is completely gone, is unimportant. What hasn't come, hasn't come. But there is the opportunity now for understanding to develop. And the big hindrance is when there is the idea that I should do something, or how can I be aware, or how can I catch seeing at this moment, instead of just letting go with understanding here and now. And that's why we have to keep hearing, considering about dhammas, because the idea of I is so deeply entrenched. The idea of what I should do, how I should follow the Eightfold Path, and so on and so on. But as you mentioned, 'tis the careful consideration of dhammas now that conditions the direct understanding, just naturally, not by wishing or clinging or hoping or expecting, but it works its way.
Yeah, well put, Sarah. Thank you.
Please excuse me. I was reading lately. I've been reading about parami, just getting the nudge and following through on reading about parami. And what's going on is I'll be reading about nekama renunciation, and then I notice clinging, and about patience, that in the reading there, and about those who cause delays or problematic are actually my benefactors, and then just noticing impatience, and then where's the virya? So it goes so on and so on down the line, and ticking off, going through the what I would call the anti-parami, and noticing more and more. It's a bit ironic, and I was wondering if you would comment on that, please.
I think it's very natural and very daily life. And it's just like Nina was saying, like one may be watching the video of Sawati and reading Ajahn's words, but there can be so much clinging, and that's how life is. So no matter whether one's reading about the paramis or attending the Zoom or in India, there's bound to be a lot of attachment and impatience. And the main point is, they don't belong to me or you or anyone. They're just conditioned dharmas, gone instantly. And sometimes one can just smile about it. It's just how life is conditioned from moment to moment, seeing, hearing, thinking with impatience, clinging. It's so natural.
Yes, clinging to that which is not real, this concept or idea of self. It's an amazing thing. Sometimes it's a bit of a conundrum and how to get out of it. But the more I try, the worse it gets. So the thing is just to, if this is to read on the parami, fine, good. It's wholesome.
And
But
like we
as
were
far
just saying, when there's the idea of how to get out of it or how to have less impatience, that is the, the clinging to self again, that conditions that thinking, which is the opposite of understanding. But it happens. It can be known to, better to know, better to recognize than to carry on just with ignorance, assuming it's all kusala because one's reading about the paramis.
Yes, well spake, and not to get discouraged. I guess virya, but then there's the lack of virya. So yes, precisely as you said. Thank you.
Just a few moments.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think reading about these things, we get the ideas. Okay, this is a goal. This is what we'd like. But I think one of the benefits of it is realizing that when the paramis aren't there. They arise so less frequently than lopa, dosa, all the opposites. And I think it like you say, Eve, it just, you get thinking of, well, like it to be this, but it isn't. I think about no energy. I think about this and that. And that's the considering and being aware of when it's not happening, when it is a kusala.
Thanks, Anne and Eve. Jan, would you like to say a little before we finish today? We can't hear you, Ajahn.
อาจารย์ท่านอาจารย์
ขอโทษค่ะ It's now Barami, Piriya Barami, Kanti Barami, Satya Barami, Nekama Barami. All are there at each moment of understanding the truth and the path. Each moment of understanding with patience and viriya and so on, to understand the truth that is there now, but it's so very subtle. How long ignorance has been accumulated each moment, and how long the understanding of what is there begin to develop, see, on and on. Better than none, anytime by conditions. And condition is any moment of discussing, reading, understanding, thinking, and so on, by conditions. So right understanding does not harm at all. But any moment of wishing, worrying, and so on, it's not right understanding. So Satya Barami is so very important. It's the way it is. But the condition is understanding. Can condition all kinds of Barami to go together, work together until there can be the moment of understanding a little more, a moment of direct awareness, not enough. And that is right understanding, which will keep on going down and down and down to touch the truth, to realize the truth, which is so very deep. That's all we are doing now and on and on. Is this all in one's life? The best moment is moment of understanding the truth with Parami. Condition to have more Parami. So it's time now. Sadhika.
Yes. Sawadika, Ajahn. Bye-bye, everyone.
Sadhika.
Bye, everyone.
กราบเท้าท่าน
Sadhika,
อาจารย์
Ajahn. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
อนุ
Wish
โมท
everyone a
นา
happy Christmas holiday with lots of understanding of paramis.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.